I can only apologise for that last video because I recorded all 36 minutes of that and realised the microphone was off. So really sorry about the terrible audio quality on that. Hopefully you can hear it. I'll try and tidy it up as much as I can in the edit. Sorry. So a lot of you are probably going to be quite new to the channel. All 45 subscribers that I have at the time of recording this, and obviously the idea behind me getting to YouTube is to kind of pursue some longer form content, help document my journey to making £1 million in new revenue in a year, but also kind of nailing the longer format stuff. I feel like YouTube is a platform I've really slept on for quite a while. So a lot of you are not going to be finding me from my socials or from knowing me, it'll be from YouTube. And one day, hopefully, you never know, I might just stay at 45 subscribers, I don't know. So I kind of want to do a little bit about who I am, what I'm doing, you know, my story so far, that kind of stuff. So if you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Mark. I am 28 years old, soon to be 29. I'm married, have been for the past 2 years, to my beautiful wife Alicia, who is a professional dancer. I'm originally from Portsmouth, but I now live in Manchester, and I suppose I'm now crossing into the realms of entrepreneur and being able to actually earn that title rather than business owner. And I'm going to kind of run into kind of what I did. But growing up, I spent the first 10 years of my life in a sleepy little town called Ware. Yeah, really Ware. In Hertfordshire, beautiful little town, not so much anymore, but absolutely lovely little town. And at 10 years old, we moved back to Portsmouth. Now Portsmouth is where my mum was from, it's where my mum's side of the family live, it's where my mum and dad met, but my dad was in the Navy back in, I think it was the 70s, maybe they probably met and got married, I think. Been married for like 47, 48, 49 years, something like that. And yeah, moved back to Portsmouth. So I lived in Portsmouth till I was 16. And growing up, I always wanted to be a Royal Marine. That was always my aspiration. I joined the Marine Cadets as soon as I could, and I spent a load of time kind of on the territories of that world. You know, we went down to Livingston every year for like a competition amongst the cadets. We got to see the Marines, you know, doing various bits of training, whether that was bottom field or Tarzan and stuff like that. We did parts of the assault course. You know, they took us on lessons about nav and all this kind of stuff, and it was great. I absolutely loved it. Did some really cool stuff. There's a really famous raid called, well, I can't remember what the raid was called, but it was the Cockleshell Heroes, and basically it's a bunch of Royal Marines that canoed up the River Gironde into Bordeaux to plant bombs on a bunch of German boats. And out of the 10, I think it was 1 or 12, only 2 survived. So I did a trip that kind of emulated that. So they did the kayak one year and then the walk to the border of Gibraltar the next. And that was pretty cool. And loads of other stuff as well. At 16, the time come for me to join, and my dad, who was a military man and a very proud Navy man, knew how tough the Marines were. And I was always on the smaller side as a kid. So kind of with his concern for my size and the physicality of the Marines, said you can join the Marines, but you have to do so at 18. You need to go to college for 2 years, go and do your phys, bulk up a little bit because your body won't be able to take it. And I was hell-bent that college was not for me, going down the traditional route was not for me, and I wanted to join. Said you could join anything else except the Marines. We'll sign the paperwork for anything else. Now I secretly think, him being in the Navy, he wanted me to go and join the Navy. So I did what any self-respecting guy would do, and I brought home the paperwork for the Army. And that's what I did. I joined the Army at 16, went into the Royal Signals as a communications systems engineer. First posting, so joined in 2013, passed out in 2013, went to Blandford for phase 2 training, was there for about 18 months. There was a big cull of civilian instructors while we were there. They all just opted left over pay, and got put on essentially like a course break for about 20 weeks, which was horrific, but it was great. They taught me how to drive, Did loads of AT, took loads of leave, did loads of cool stuff, really cool. So passed out of there in 2015, first posted into Northern Ireland, really, really good time over there, spent about a year there, moved to Army headquarters in Andover, and that's pretty much where I saw my career out. I was medically discharged in 2021 for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's not a story I'll go into on here. If you want to see that stuff, it's all on my Instagram, it's all on my Facebook, not the platform for this. And I was medically discharged in 2021. Now, I actually went off sick a little while before this, but COVID was still really rife at the time, and a lot of the army was working from home where possible, and things were a lot slower. I couldn't do face-to-face medical appointments. All of my psychiatry appointments, therapy appointments were over the phone, and it was a really, really weird time, so that kind of got delayed. Now, I'm really, really lucky in this regard, and this is the only time I ever say I got lucky. Everything else was more than the fortune that I created for myself. But I was really lucky because I was still being paid as a full-time corporal in the army while I was sat at home going through therapy and recovering, knowing I was going to be medically discharged but not knowing when. So for me, starting my business was risk-free, and I kind of said to myself, I'm highly unemployable because of the way my brain worked at the time, and I really wasn't in a good place. I don't want to work for anyone else. My dreams just been snatched from me. Why not just try and make as much money as possible? And I discovered a guy on Instagram actually called God Nat. I don't know what he's doing anymore. I don't think I follow him. But basically, he was doing digital marketing, affiliate marketing, stuff like that. And I got really sucked into the glitz and the glam because he was obviously earning good money. He drove an AMG GT, lived in the centre of London, was going on fucking shopping sprees, spending 10k in Harrods and Selfridges and stuff every week. And I really, really fell into that trap and thought, oh my god, this is so easy if this 20-something-year-old is doing this on the internet. And you kind of start to unpick people like that. And I don't doubt that he was earning lots of money. You know, his house was good, his cars were good. He was obviously spending a lot on his clothes and stuff. But I think it was all from the course sales, and they didn't really teach me anything. And then took Iman Ghardi's course back when it was Agency Incubator, I think. I can't remember which one it was. Started to learn a bit about outreach, not really too much about how to run a business or how to run ads. And then found Jordan Platten on YouTube, bought his course, and it really that's when it kind of hit home. Things started to link together, and I started to really to take off. So that was in the January of 2020 that we registered on the Line Digital, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to have 6 months of doing whatever, setting myself up to get out on the outside, and knowing that I had a bit of security behind me and it was relatively risk-free. In the March of 2020, I was up to about £5,000-6,000 a month working with restaurants in terms of monthly recurrent revenue, and then all of a sudden the world just stopped. And I remember I was in the Premier Inn at Hattersley, because when Alicia and I first started dating, her parents were really strict in terms of no sleepovers, and that's a rule they carried on until we were pretty much married, and in their house obviously. And so when I was commuting up and down to Manchester, we were staying in various hotels, and it was great because I got to explore the city, I got to see where she was living a bit more, instead of just chilling out of the house on the weekend and stuff, and it was great. But I remember being sat there, and Bojo comes on the telly and gives his speech about, you must go home, you must isolate, you must stay indoors. And it really kind of set in that this was a pretty serious thing that was going on. And we went downstairs and, have you seen the news and stuff? They're like, yeah. Don't worry, you're absolutely fine. We've been told we're a essential business, you can stay open. The next day, we go for our hour's walk, and we come back to the hotel, and the lady on the reception desk was like, we've been told we need to close. You need to leave. And we were like, well, how long have we got? And she said 15 minutes. 15 minutes we had to make the decision of what do we do here. Do we isolate together? Do you stay here in Manchester and I go back to Portsmouth? Bearing in mind we thought it was only going to be 3 weeks, and it turned out to be pretty much a year in isolation. I think we figured out where we were moving around the country and the way different tiers worked. From March through to the following March, we spent a grand total of 31 days outside of a red or a tier 4 area, whatever you wanted to call it, outside of a lockdown. I'm very, very grateful that Alicia took a risk on our relationship, because we had not been dating very, very long. In fact, we'd only both been back in the country for 3 months when lockdown happened. She was working away at sea. I'd only just got off sick, and the relationship was still very, very new. And she decided to lock down with me at my parents', where it was my parents, my brother, myself, Liz, and the dog in a small 2-bed apartment. And from there, you know, the business lost 99% of its revenue overnight. We went from like 5-6k a month to one client that was paying me £250 for some social media management, and I'll never forget this. Just overnight, just gone. So obviously, I had, you know, the money in the business was still there. We didn't have really any overheads at the time. I think my overheads were probably less than £100. I was still getting my full-time wage from the army, so you know, for me it was good. The weather was great. We live right by the beach. I got to spend time with my family, you know, that I hadn't done for years and years properly because I was always away. And I got to spend time with my new girlfriend, really kind of getting to know each other. So it was great. In the July, restrictions started to lift a little bit. Made the decision we wanted to move in together, and we were happy whether it was going to be Manchester or Portsmouth. We were happy with either. But what really sold it for us was the rent prices, because in Portsmouth for a 2-bed at the time you were looking at about £1,200 a month, and in Manchester we got our first 2-bed for £675 per month, and it was great. So off to Manchester we went, and I thought it was great. New city, new friends, you know, really cool place to be. And we started to scale the business back up. We started to sign clients again. Restrictions started to lift a little bit, and we kind of went from there. Q 2021, I got my full discharge from the British Army. I left the British Army on the 17th of May 2021 with an honourable medical discharge, with high recommendations across the board, basically. And I was devastated. I knew it was coming. I wasn't well enough at the time to stay in. The way my mind frame was and how poorly I was, I wouldn't have survived in the military for much longer. And I don't kind of want to go down that route. But it broke my heart, because it was everything I had ever wanted to do. And I worked so hard to get myself fit, to keep myself fit, to learn a really technical trade when I didn't come from a technical background. And you know, to really make the military work for me. So it broke my heart. And about this time I was on about 10k a month. Built the business back up, had different clients in different niches, working with some property, some e-commerce, you know, doing pretty well. This is before the real big e-com boom at about 21, 22. And we're doing pretty well. But I was a raging functional alcoholic, and I'm talking I would start drinking about midday. So if you ever work with me, the summer of 20 through to December of 21, there is a high chance that I was pissed on our calls. So I'd start drinking about midday. I'd then make an excuse to go to Morrison's, whether it was for cigarettes or to get some shopping or whatever in the afternoon. And I'd take my lunch break and I'd sit in the pub for 2 hours, and I'd have 5 or 6 pints in the pub. I'd come home, I'd do the last little bits of work out today. I'd then get changed to go back to the pub in the evening, and I would sit in the pub till 10 o'clock at night when my wife would finish work. I'd go home, I'd sit and have a bottle of wine, half a bottle of whiskey, going to bed about 1 o'clock, absolutely stinking, and repeat. And I did that every day from pretty much Easter of lockdown. So, business was going great. I was, really kind of functional with it. But I knew I could do better. December 2021, I went away on my own. Alyssa got the time off work, and I felt like I just needed a break. I was a bit burnt out. I'd been working really, really hard. Black Friday, if you're in the agency space, you know how busy kind of September, October, November, December is. So I went away, I did a cruise for a week, and I spent all week getting pissed with a bunch of Germans. And I could keep up with these Germans, and I was really, really proud of that. But I made myself so catastrophically unwell, it was done. To the point where I got home on the Sunday, and on the Tuesday I'd gone to the pub, as I always do, for the pub quiz. I had 2 pints, and at 9 o'clock at night, I was walking home, and I was throwing up in the churchyard next to the pub, because my body was saying, give up, I need help, I am absolutely bollocksed here. And so I said to myself, Mark, what are you doing? I was 25 at the time. I had a really good business. I had a lot of people that believed in me. I had a fiance at that point that absolutely adored me, and who I adored. But I was just throwing my relationship and throwing everything and risking everything for the beer, for Mr. Heineken. So in that delirious, sweaty, sicky moment, I said to myself, enough is enough. What the fuck are you doing? Enough is enough. And so I quit. I got home, stumbled through the door, poured all the alcohol that we had in the house away, which really pissed her off because I poured away 2 bottles of her gin that she's got for her birthday. And I vowed to myself I would never drink. And that was December 20th, 2021. And today, which is May the 29th, I think, 2025, not a drop of alcohol has passed these lips since. And I'm really, really proud of that. I think that's probably my biggest achievement that I'm really, really proud of. And to be fair, it was the best thing I ever done. Our relationship got so much better. I got so much healthier. Although I'm 93 kilos now, when I quit drinking I was 120 kilograms. Still got a little bit of a way to go, but this is the body of a prime athlete, because I run marathons for fucking fun. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I look after my body, and I'm getting it into a place where I can be really, really proud of. So yeah, lost a load of weight, skin cleared up, got better. My oral hygiene, I was suffering really bad with gum disease at the time, and a lot of that damage is done now, and bits will never grow back, but I'm in the process of getting my teeth sorted, getting braces and stuff like that. So that's all happening now. The agency just skyrocketed in terms of revenue through the roof. We started learning about actual business rather than just agency scale bra. How to make it the most tax efficient model possible. All these various bits and pieces you have to worry about. That year we also got engaged, which was absolutely fantastic and one of the best days of my life. I absolutely adored the day we got engaged. It was just, if I say so myself, it was fucking perfect, and I did really well. And started to plan the wedding. 2022, pretty good year in terms of business, pretty steady until around about October. In October I got extorted, so I made a mistake within my business that someone recognised and took advantage of. So rightly so, they called me out on that mistake, and they should have done, and we were always going to rectify that problem. But it was a case of they wanted me to repay everything that they had spent with me. Bearing in mind they had made money off of this, but including their ad spend, literally everything, to the tune of around about £9,000, I think it was. And I got extorted because I was absolutely petrified. Now, what I should have done is I should have owned up to the mistake. It didn't damage their business in any way, shape or form. was only ever going to damage my reputation, but I was really, really scared of that. I owned up to the mistake and I said I will refund you the service fee. And their exact words were, you will refund me everything I have ever spent with you. My following is bigger than yours. I will bury your business overnight. And because I was petrified, that's exactly what I did. And it fucked me up. And things started to then kind of spiral a little bit. I lost a bit of control. Things started to not go well. I started to take contracts for contract's sakes with businesses that weren't really aligned with us, who probably couldn't afford the service as much, kind of scrimping to make myself feel valued. And in the September, October of that year, I decided enough is enough and I wanted to sell. So I listed the business for sale. And at the time, I think the business was worth around, I think we had it valued at about 70k. So not great. Now, what I know now about M&A and how to value businesses and what I knew then was very, very different. So I thought because I have something turning over X amount a year, that was how it works, but it's not exactly how it works. A lot of the value remained in me and not in the business, because you removed me and I've just got a bunch of clients. So it didn't make sense. I got led down the garden path for 8 months by the biggest pipe dreaming cocksucker named Gareth, who just completely fucking wasted my time, to be honest with you. I don't even know what's going on with him now, but I can't imagine he's doing fucking great, because he was just an absolute waste of fucking space. But what it did do is it introduced me to a man I've become very, very fond of, and I have a lot of time for, and who has probably been the biggest influence in my business, called Guy Bartlett. Now, I want you to go check out Guy's socials, check out his website. He's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, he's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably where he's most active. And also check out the Business Buyers Club, because that is kind of his latest project, which is helping people get into the world of M&A, but doing it ethically, scalably, and sustainably, rather than you could buy a business for £1, bro. Like fucking half these idiots out there teaching you how to do it. And if you are going to buy a business for £1, it'll teach you how to do it properly. And he said, look, I'll buy the business, but I want you to go into business with me. You're too good to give up on what you're doing. And he taught me loads about business, about M&A, about how to actually properly structure the business, more so than what I've been taught. And by the time that it actually come to complete, he said to me, Mark, I'm not going to buy it, because what you've done is you've created this thing that is doing really good for you, and you'd be stupid to let it go. I want you to have it, because what it had done is it had taught me everything. It taught me how to structure the business again properly for where I was at. How to install certain systems into the business, how to it really just increased my business acumen. But I think the biggest part of that was the fact it felt like I had a safety net, because I had someone in business who has been doing this for 40 plus years, who has done millions and millions and tens of millions of deals, pounds worth of deals, who believed in me and who was like my business kind of hero and idol, and he still is. And we don't talk as much nowadays because we're not working on anything together at the minute, but he has really, really helped me over the years, even when he didn't have to, even at times when I probably didn't deserve his help. And it was genuinely the best thing that ever happened to me in the agency space. And now we're at the realms of buying businesses. I've taken my wife around the world. We're expecting our first child in September, and I genuinely believe it was all because of the belief that Guy had in me and everything that he instilled in me from there. And today, and to this day, and to the day I die, I owe that man so much, and I will forever be grateful for that man. And I don't know if he watches my YouTube channel. I very much doubt it, and I doubt he will ever see this. And I'm not going to send it to him, because you won't fit his ego through the fucking door afterwards. But I owe that man so much. So please do go and check him out on LinkedIn. Give him a follow around his stuff. If you're interested in M&A, go and check out the Business Buyers Club. It's £55 a month with VAT. And it is, the value in there is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So that leads us to today. So today, 2025. Oh no, sorry. Let's go back. September of 23. Married my best friend. We got married at her family church in Bredbury in Stockport. Had the wedding reception at a place called Nunsmere Hall, which is Margaret Thatcher's old house and Sir Samuel Cunard's old house. And it was quite honestly the best day of my life. It was just incredible. And, you know, Alicia helped me plan the perfect day. But, you know, our wedding was spectacular. And I always say about weddings, and what was great about the wedding was that day is never going to happen where every person in that room again is in that room again. You know, some people have had kids, some people we don't see anymore. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone that was there is still here. Touch wood. But that's never going to happen again. And to share that day and to share our love with everyone that we loved was just so much fun. Our wedding band were insane. We used the Midnight Cats. So go check out the Midnight Cats, the acoustic cats, the Kirsty Rogers wedding singer. Absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend them for anyone. What's his name? Matt Nichols, wedding photography of the year, like 4 years in a row. Absolutely incredible, fucking great guy. Please go and check him out. Absolutely fantastic. Our photos are absolutely sick. And yeah, so we got married in the September. In the October of that year, we almost lost my mum. So my mum contracted pneumonia. She's got COPD anyway, but she contracted pneumonia, and then she contracted something called mycobacterial tuberculosis, also form of tuberculosis, and she was properly poorly to the point where we thought we were going to lose her. Christmas Day, got a phone call saying she'd been rushed back into hospital, so we drove quite quickly back down, having thought she was out of the woods. Christmas and New Year in the hospital, and she came home just after Christmas, and she spent 18 months in isolation at home afterwards, recovering, and she did really, really well, and I'm so proud of her. An absolute fighter to the end, my mum is. She's an absolute warrior of a woman, and I know where I get every ounce of my strength from, because to come back from doctors thinking she wasn't going to make it, from being malnourished to, you know, absolutely thriving again 18 months later is phenomenal. 2024 obviously didn't sell, grew the business, mum was, you know, getting better, and we started trying for a baby. You know, families are something we've always wanted. Well, certainly Alicia has always wanted. I was never quite sure if I wanted kids until we got married, and then I was like, yeah, you know, I want the family legacy, I want the name to continue, I think the main reason I want kids is because the world is a real shit place right now, and I know that if my kids grow up with an ounce of Alicia's care and compassion and love and heart, my kids are going to grow up to be really good people and are going to have a good impact on the world. And I think that Alicia deserves to give that love, and we deserve to give that love and receive that love, and I'm really, really excited for that. But it wasn't happening. We just weren't conceiving. You know, I wasn't drinking, I'd quit smoking, really watching what reading. It just wasn't happening. Went for all the various tests and bits and pieces and what have you. Alicia come back pretty much absolutely fine, a bit low on some iron and stuff. And it come back that I was the problem. All of the years of medication and alcohol and smoking and you know, all the various abuse that I put my body through had really taken its toll. My sperm count was absolutely through the floor. To paraphrase it, the guy said, you've got about 4 sperm and they all look like chopped from the Goonies meat, which meant our chances of conceiving naturally were pretty much nil. I could tell it was breaking Alice's heart, and every negative pregnancy test was, if you're trying to have kids, or you've ever tried to have kids and you've struggled to conceive, you know how heartbreaking it is every month when that little little stick. You turn it over and it says negative. And it broke my heart. And I still get upset thinking about this now. The decisions that I had made in the first 26, 27, 28 years of my life, or 25 years of my life really, were affecting my wife from having something that she wanted. And it was a really, really tough time in our marriage. Really tough time. Because I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel adequate enough. I didn't feel like I could give her what she wanted, and what she could provide, and I couldn't provide for her. And it was a really, really tough time. In the October, we talked about travelling previously. Alyssa had worked on cruise ships, pretty much travelled the world. I have travelled quite extensively, but not so much to the nice places that she has. So we decided we were going to go travelling. We were going to give it a go. We were going to do it for a year. We were going to see how it went, and then see where we were at. So I bought the penis extension, that is the Porsche 911 Carrera T, that I am driving now all the way down to Barcelona. And the original plan was we were going to go around Europe in the car, jet setting, for the initial 90 days, find somewhere to become a tax resident, get an EU visa, stay a little bit longer. And I think kind of the plan was a little bit to find somewhere to live in Europe. And so yeah, we gave our notice in at our house, we put our life in storage, we packed it into this little car, and away we went. So we came down, we spent Christmas with Alyssa's family, we came down, we spent some time with my family, and we went on a cruise for 2 weeks. That was the original plan. We were going to go on a cruise for 2 weeks over New Year, because it was just cheaper. It went to a load of places we wanted to go to, and then certainly I'd never been cruising. And we had a great time. And, you know, we still always said, you know, if it happened, it happens. It would be a very, very happy accident and a happy surprise. And so off we went, and we went travelling. We'd kind of been on the waiting list for IVF. We were getting nowhere. We were getting texts every 2 weeks saying, do you still want IVF? Yes. So we thought we'll just deal with that when we come back. And about 4 days into the cruise, Alyssa was doing Invisalign, and she'd lost her retainer. And I've never seen a woman cry over a retainer so much. And I was like, this is a bit odd. You're pretty level usually, you're pretty stable. I said, are you due? She said, yeah, I was due about a week ago. Pretty irregular, nothing uncommon. And then a couple of days later, I booked us to go to a dinner. It was with a West End star. It was doing a cabaret, and it was cabaret and dine. And she'd been really looking forward to this all week. And this was exactly 7 days after we'd left home. 6 days after we'd left home. And a piece of ham come out as I started, like a ham hock terrine, I think it was. And she started to cry at the smell of it. And I said, because of your aversion to smell and because of your hormones, you're fucking pregnant. No, I'm not pregnant. I can't be pregnant. We've barely done anything. I can't be pregnant. I said, you're pregnant. I said, we've got a pregnancy test in the cabin. She said, yeah, we've got a pregnancy test in the cabin. I said, in the morning, when you get up, the first thing you're doing is you are pissing on that stick. Thought nothing of it. No, I'm not pregnant. Wake up the next morning, go and piss on the stick. 3 minutes, turn it over. Fuck. I'm pregnant. And it's the greatest fuck moment of my life. Absolutely. Finding out that we were having a baby was the most incredible thing ever. It is the most love I've ever felt in the world. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was genuinely, it overtook the best day of my life. The day we found out we were pregnant, and it was something that I felt like we'd worked so hard for so long, and it was finally happening, finally having a child. But there was the big fucking thing of shit. We have nowhere to live. We don't have a house. What do we do? Went and saw the doctor on board. Just kind of said, just so you know, we're pregnant, but we're planning to travel for a bit. What are we going to do? The doctor ran some checks. Confirmed the pregnancy again. So we then had 3 pregnancy tests and a blood test that said, yes, you are pregnant. Gave us a fit to travel to cover us till week 23. So that was both on cruises and on airlines. We didn't think sitting in a low-slung sports car through the first trimester around Europe was going to be the best thing for Alicia. So what Alicia did was booked a partial round-the-world cruise, which took us to New Zealand, which, if you've ever been pregnant, you will know that the first trimester is notorious for morning sickness, and doing so on a moving ship was not great. She had a terrible 6 weeks. I had a fucking great time, I'm not going to lie to you. And yeah, so that was that. We went to some really cool places: New York, Miami, bits of Central America, San Francisco, Hawaii, Pacific Islands. Spent a bit of time in New Zealand with some family that I've got over there. Came home, toured about Europe for a bit, come back with some scans, did a bit more of Europe, and now we're here. It's May. We're 6 months pregnant. We're still trying to find somewhere to live. We've got offers in on places, but it's just a bit of a slow process. Keep getting, kind of turned away at different points, or getting beaten in terms of certain stuff. So here we are. That's my story so far. So yeah, to summarise, 28, 29 in like 6 weeks. Looking to acquire new businesses. Already a multiple business owner. Got my dream car. I've got my dream wife. Someone who I adore wholeheartedly, and I know who adores me wholeheartedly. I've got a baby on the way, and the only missing piece is the house. And that's me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this £1 million roadmap mission. And yeah, I hope you come along for the journey. I know that's just been 36 minutes of me just waffling on my drive down to Portsmouth. But yeah, that's pretty much me. As always, guys, if you like the videos, if you like what I put out, if you like the story, if you can resonate, make sure you like and subscribe. Jump down in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, any videos, any questions you may have, any trainings you want. And thank you for following